Hey guys, welcome to another session where we go deep with all the questions that our members have. So obviously you're watching the replay, but in this particular time, what we went deep into is some of the things, finer points around deal structures and partnerships and what happens when they break apart. And if you've been dealing with some difficult things like, your guests are smoking and you're wondering what to do, how to possibly address this with your community or your HOA, etc., we also tackle that. And in this particular session, we go through a number of situations to where some of our members are getting to the point where they either have purchased or are beginning to get to what we call phase 3, where they're able to acquire or think about acquiring the properties that they're using and or buying additional businesses. So if those are things that are interesting, you definitely want to pay attention because we've got that and a lot more inside this particular episode. So look forward to seeing you, and hopefully you'll come and join us soon. Make sure you give us a like, hit that subscribe button, because we would love to have you. Whew. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you are doing well today. I hope you are doing well today. We've got a lot going on over here in the headquarters, so to speak, and just trying to get it all done. So I'm glad that you guys are here. Thanks for being here. And we are going to get a lot of your questions answered. There's been a very large question that was submitted by someone in the Facebook group that I think we're going to spend a significant amount of time on today. But I am monitoring the chat rooms as the chat right over here. So I am looking in here for your questions and continued comments. So please make sure that you post those there so that I have a shot at seeing them. That way I can get those answered as well. So hopefully the audio is working well today. I'm hoping it should be pretty good. And at the end of the day, we should have a good little time together where we can all just make sure to get not only your questions answered, but also make all of the types of progress that we're looking forward to make. So hopefully if you're in the chat, make sure that you put that there. Hey Russell, I see you. Should I wait to get funding before I start looking for a short-term rental? I need more information, Dominic. I see the question, but I need more information. But this is good. I like it. He's starting off the questions quick, hard, and fast. So hopefully you guys are ready to ask your questions, because I'm definitely ready to answer them and make sure that everybody gets the information that they need today to keep taking their next few steps. Now, with all of that being said, please note that, well, you know what? I should probably do this because that looks pretty weird. So please note that we are getting kind of excited about all the good things that are happening, anywhere from, the summit that's coming up, anywhere to some of you, this is going to be your first New Year's, Christmases, etc. operating. So you're going to see things from a completely different perspective. And it seems like there's a lot of you who've been hosting lots of people. I saw a number of those posts where people were like, hey, I've hosted thousands of guests in 6 countries across the entire year. So I think that's pretty exciting to look at and see as well. So keep sharing those for those of you who have those, because I definitely like looking at them. I'm going to do my best to brag on you guys and tell the world about you, because I think that's pretty cool that you guys have been able to do those things and make that happen. All right. So let's see. Question. Susan says, whoa, new tune. I'm glad you like it. Sounds great. Nice and clear. Okay, perfect. You can hear me. I'm glad to hear that. Because that is always and can occasionally be the challenge is, can you hear me? Oh, let's scroll back. I see lots of stuff. Akila, what's going on? How is Chicago treating you? Hopefully well. Valerie says hello. Janan, how are you? Akila is asking a question. What is this? It says, what are your thoughts on setting up rentals with a lease option to buy within 3 to 5 years. Have you used this strategy, or do you know anyone who has? I don't mind. I mean, if that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. However, okay, so hear me clearly. However, I would not. I don't want to go through the extra work of negotiating the lease as well as the option, because part of the challenge of negotiating an option is you also have to negotiate your strike price. And that can sometimes muddle the waters a little bit. Plus, there's also the opportunity inside of a lease option to negotiate, are your rent payments that you're currently making being a part of the down payment and the credits related to that. So there are just extra things that can sometimes muddy the water in the negotiation process that I don't want to confuse it with. So what does that mean? Well, it quite simply means that what I would do instead, and this is what I've done, is I'll negotiate a first right of refusal to actually purchase the property should the landlord want to do so. So that's what I would rather, or want to sell it. I would rather do that because that requires no financial commitment from you in order to do that, right? So there's also the additional, usually, consideration required for the option. So it's not a bad idea. It's just not how I would choose to execute that same thing. So hopefully that makes some sense, Akila. If not, feel free to continue to ask. And again, or you can come join me live, cashflowdiary.com/live link, cashflowdiary.com/live link, any Chrome browser on a non-iOS device, right? There you go. Any Chrome browser, non-iOS device. Let's see what else we got. Hustle Russell in the house. Hi, Russell. How are you? Signing on our first rental unit this week. Congratulations. Exciting. Janan, are you sending the email with the confirmed departures to your cleaners through Smart B&B? Yes is the answer. They told me I cannot do this and said you can set up a reminder. They told me you can set up a reminder message about upcoming cleanings. However, these would not go out per reservation. It's not possible to send a list of all upcoming cleanings for a day in one message. That is correct. It is not possible to send a list of all upcoming cleanings for a day in one message. I send a list I send a confirmed departure email for each individual one. So instead of one message, so hear me clearly, Janan, for every reservation, I send that message. So if there are two, then if there are 2 cleanings that day, 2 go out. If there are 10 go out. That's the difference in everything that you said. So but they're correct. There is no one way to put it all in one email. So they get 10 additional emails. And for those of you wondering what she's referring to in terms of the tool that we tend to recommend for messaging, team coordination, things of this nature that you can automate, thus reduce your time, increase your efficiency and income, is Smart B&B. So go there, cashflowdiary.com/STR data. It's one of the unique things that we use and show you the best practices around so that you have the ability to go out there and keep making more money with the stuffs. Yeah, that's motivation. Okay. Not sure what you meant by that, Dominic, but okay. What up, everyone? Hey, Ladero, how are you? Janan is asking, do you have someone that checks the cleaner's work at each turnover or just every once in a while? We have a runner who can do that every once in a while, and the cleaners, at least our cleaners, they have a quality assurance person, and a new thing that we've started doing. And if you look inside of, again, Smart B&B, you begin to see you can pull out your cleaning scores per reservation, which is kind of cool. And we've started giving them, the cleaners, the direct feedback that our customers are finding as well. So we've kind of increased the pressure with that one for sure, which has been pretty interesting to watch and to see. So I like it. I don't know if they like it, but I definitely like it. So yeah, anyway. Oh, I had it on the wrong screen. Got it. Let's see. Where'd it go? You guys are talking to each other, so that's good. And again, for those of you who could be joining us for the first time, basically how these Q&As work is I make myself available to answer your questions, and from answering your questions, I hopefully keep you guys moving forward, making the best decisions, keeping you informed of the best practices, and making everything work at the end of the day. Russell... okay, talking, should I wait? Okay, Dominic, you said, should I wait until I get funding before I start looking for a short-term rental? I'm not 100% sure what you're really asking, because one interpretation of this question could be that I can interpret from this that you're afraid of something, but I don't really know what. Like, what is looking for a short-term rental cost you? It doesn't cost you anything, and you're concerned about having funding for something, and I'm not quite sure what, but maybe it's the lease or the furnishings, but I don't see how that prevents you from looking. So and besides, I'm of the opinion that if you started looking and actually got yourself into a situation in which you had a lease signed, you suddenly find the funds. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. It's kind of a chicken or an egg situation, but at the end of the day, both have to happen, right? So I don't know that it really matters which is first. Both have to happen. James, what's up? It's hello, Jay. Is it cold in California? Okay, so I take it you're noticing that I am wearing my maybe it's a signature travel jacket at this particular moment. I don't know, but I often have one of these on. And for me, yes, it is cold. It is 65 degrees. So that is within my realm of cold. So yes, James, it is cold today. I'm sure I just made somebody mad or something. I'm going to see some angry emojis, some thumbs down on Facebook. You're like, it's not cold. Yes, it is. It's cold. Anyway, leave me alone. Hey, Marcy, how are you? I see you. Hey, Haya, what's going on? Hey, Jay, any way to turn down the background? Oh, I forgot to turn it. I meant to. There, it should be off now. Sorry. I've just forgot to hit the button. Smart B&B is awesome. I will definitely review our cleaning scores. Yes, they keep making it better and better. So I definitely like it. Russell, we have a winter storm coming in. Oh boy. And I was just talking about it being cold. Should we wait until the storm passes and we can arrange all the construction crew scheduled to be billed out to the unit to take possession? Reason I ask is because we are paying a prorated rental rate. I think it makes sense to coordinate everything to come in at the same time and to get the unit occupant ready ASAP for the holiday starts. Got it. Well, see, this is a double-edged sword that's somewhat geographically located because you have, cold, snow all the time, right? So this is something you're going to always have to plan around one way or the other. Now, I've said this before, I say it again. I think the absolute best time to start new leases in terms of what day of the month is somewhere between the 20th to the no later than the 24th. The 20th to the 24th of the month is kind of like that range. It's pretty optimal because part of what you're paying is the prorated rent for that last week. And you're paying the next month's all at once. So it feels like you have extra time to make up the money. This particular case, in a month where we've got holidays and special things like that, well, I'd want to get them up. I would want to get the units going and ready, especially because you got Christmas right behind that, New Year's. I'd want to be ready. I would try to see if I couldn't get everything ready before the snow arrived and maybe get somebody there so that's kind of the game I would play. I don't like delaying, especially when it's not like this is a one-time event, like some freak snowstorm. Dude, you're in Utah. You're going to have snow next week and the week after and the week after and the week after and the week after, right? That's not going to That is never not going to be the case. That is never not going to be the case. So it's just that's just by virtue of where you live, man. Okay. I knew comments about cold were going to come in. So, yes, there it is. I was just thinking, I'm so excited to come out there next week to warm up. I understand. For some of you, yes, 65 is warmer. I don't like that. I agree, Jay. It's cold in Cali. Thank you, Valerie. I appreciate that. Now o'clock it is. Excellent, Russell. Glad that happened. Hustle till you make it. That's kind of the thing. So Ladero says, I agree. We push full force even during the snow. Yeah, I mean, if you're in a place where there's snow, I mean, think about it. If we stopped working every time there was okay, so we don't have seasons, right? Like you guys think. We've got a fire season. So this is when our forests catch on fire. And right after fire season, follow me here. This is how it goes. After fire season comes flood season, because then we get half an inch of rain and then everybody freaks out. And then right after flood season comes mudslide season, because see, the fire burnt up everything, and then the rain, half inch, comes down and it makes the water suddenly piles up, and then that piled up water starts the entire mountain sliding because there's no vegetation left because it just got burnt. Right. And then after that, we have earthquake season. That's kind of how we do. So welcome to California. Anyway, but the sun is shining all the time and our winters are 65. I can't stop business because of things that are going to be happening all the time. I mean, that's just going to happen. Like one of the unique things that's been happening recently is we've had a number of freeway chases, which I find interesting. But one of the freeway chases happened to be near one of our units, and it's like the customer's like, yo, what's going on? I can't get to the place. And well, it's because there's a freeway chase going on, and that's kind of how it goes right now. Welcome to the real California lifestyle. I mean, you don't see this on TV, or maybe you've only seen it on TV, but now you get to participate. So, that's how it rolls. So you can't predict a freeway chase. In fact, there could be one going right now. Who knows? But at the end of the day, there are certain things you just can't plan your business around. The better question is, since I know it's coming, what do I do to prepare for it so it doesn't actually hurt my revenue? That's the better question. So just something to think about there. All right. Let me see some more questions coming in here. It says, how often do you clean the big fuzzy blankets, duvet inserts, cover, throws? That's not an each turnover. I'm guessing it's more like monthly or something. Okay. The covers are changed every time. The fuzzy blankets. So here's our challenge. Our fuzzy blankets get cleaned every time, but what we've been having actually a challenge with is getting them back into the units, because they keep getting left in our storage. So they'll get cleaned, they come back, and then they sit. So we just actually had a meeting with our cleaners addressing that issue. What else was there? And throws. When you say throws, I'm assuming this is also that the blanket type of thing. Again, these things get cleaned all the time. The challenge we've been having is getting them back into the units. Obviously, we're doing fine on the duvet covers, etc. And hopefully those inserts, hopefully the covers do their job. Now, if the covers don't do their job, then obviously we just replace the inserts. There you go. You should move to Utah. Nope. It's too cold. I'll take it. I will take California seasons over Utah any day. Janan says it is cold. See, she agrees with me. I appreciate that. Jay, you are in a BNI group, correct? Yes, that is correct. And are you acting as a short-term rental operator? I am. Would you share your feedback and experience with that networking group? Again, okay. So, when it comes down to it, us as operators, we're a very good central hub for a lot of different businesses, I guess is the best way to put it. We can create a lot of business and referrals for other businesses, and that's great. So how does this benefit you? Well, if you've ever read the book Influence by Robert Cialdini, you'll understand that there's the theory of reciprocity. So going out there to give and being in a position to give makes it such that when you might find yourself in a time that where you need to receive, you can get access to the resources that you want. Now, this has come to bear in many different ways. I mean, let's just pretend you needed a good quality, well-reviewed handyman for your maintenance staff. You probably will find them in a BNI. And if he or she knows you as someone that has given quality referrals and gives business to other members, that's going to show up in the quality and type of work that they do for you. Same thing with your other trades. Maybe it's a plumber, maybe it's in fact, just recently I was looking for someone who could clean upholstery on our couches. Okay. So all of these things will matter. And being able to build your service provider pool is important. There's also the being able to look for landlords, because that's one of the things that I do the most is I ask people to send me or put me in touch with landlords who have vacancy. Okay. So that gets me into other locations. So you say, I can't find any locations, or I don't know how to find any other landlords. Okay, cool. Well, if you go to a networking event and you build the right relationships and you've got 10, 15, 20, 30 people whose job it is to find you more locations, when they run into a landlord who talks about, hey, I'm vacant, suddenly maybe that could become a potential opportunity for you. And then the obvious one in this case, for those of you wanting more corporate business, maybe you want to deal with a Coca-Cola, a Pepsi, a Microsoft, an Apple. I don't know, pick a corporation of your choosing, and you want to be able to deal with that. Then what you would do, or what you can do in this particular case, is you can ask them for introductions to the individuals who help with that. Simple as that. So there are many ways to leverage such an organization. And so the benefits are there. What I care more about is how you think about how you can help the people at that networking group grow. I mean, obviously the photographer, you're going to need new photos, right? So I found a really great photographer that way. You're going to need a bookkeeper. And again, Massey is here to serve you across the United States from wherever. And that's also great. So you also have the option of being able, maybe you are looking for cleaners, or maybe you're looking for a linen service. I'm just thinking of the services that I know that we have used to be able to execute things. CPA, maybe, also going to be present. And then the insurances. I mean, there's so many services that are represented inside the structure of BNI that I think it would do you well to go there and make that happen. So hopefully that makes sense. Valerie, welcome to Cali. Right, exactly. We have seasons. They're just different than most. Dominic, the reason I ask is, should I have funding first, is because I have the fear if I get a yes about a property, then I would be stuck without the funding. Totally understood. But what if you end up with the funding but can't find the property? Are you not afraid of that one? Why are you not afraid of that one? Right? I mean, I'm just kind of asking. So, I'm just asking why couldn't, what do there's something I don't know, in that regard. I mean, they're both at the same time. There's not one ahead of the other. It's just the way they both have to happen. It's not a vacuum. You have to have both. So anyway, if you want to come ask a question, I'm going to scroll. Hey, Rebecca, what's going on? I was just talking about the seasons in California, and everybody says 65 degrees isn't cold. So I say it is. But anyway, if you want to come ask me a question, go to cashflowdiary.com/live link, any Chrome browser on a non-iOS device. I'm looking for more. Let me switch cameras so I can more easily look for your questions. That's what I'm doing. Let's see. Nope. Oh, Susan. Sorry for all the way. Sorry, all the way. We're in the low 50s. No problem. Floods, mudslides, fire, road construction season. That's true. That's not a bad season, too. We kind of have that all the time. Southern Cali there, 65. Northern Cali has a different measure for cold. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Maybe you should move to Southern California because that's so much better. Hey, Enrique, how are you? And Rebecca says it's freezing, therefore case closed. Eric and I agree that 65 is cold. See, that's just what it is, people. This is what cold looks like. This is cold. This is our winter. This is my heavy jacket. I'm just saying. So deal with it. I'm looking. Any more questions? No? All right. So let me see. Hold on. Let me go back and look one more time. All right. I don't see any more questions, which is completely fine by me. If again, just as a reminder for you guys, you know how this works. If there are no questions, we get to end early. You guys get to go back to making it happen. And that's the goal here, to make it happen. So I'm just going to assume that you guys know what you need to know. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, accounting questions. Come on, Ladero. I can't wait. I'm so excited. See, this is my excited face. Sarah, what was the big question posted? Oh, the big question posted ahead of time. Thank you, Sarah. I totally spaced and almost forgot. Let me go get it. I'm so glad you said something because I would have ended this thing and then it would have been like, oops, I forgot to answer it. But let me get through these things. Davey, I knew you were going to ask about that. It is Tuesday. A news article just came out about new pending legislation in Los Angeles. And I was waiting. I was like, who's going to ask? And it's Davey, almost predictably, but that's fun. I have no thoughts. I don't have any thoughts at this moment about any legislation until it's actually enforceable. Plus, and to be very clear, there's two parts to what's going on. There's the homeowners part, at least the way LA is looking at it. There's the primary residence part, and then there's the vacation rentals part. They're still, from what I understand, they're still silent on the vacation rentals part, which is the part that's going to affect most of us. So, and they've got a long way to go. That's all I'm going to say. They just got a long way to go in order to be able to get everything done. So as of this moment, that's how I see it. And we'll see what happens as after the first of the year, after I forgot the guy's name who's leaving his position. We'll see what happens after then. We'll see what happens come July during their proposed enforcement dates. I mean, there's so many steps that are required. I mean, the idea that they're asking the platforms to actually give the information of the hosts to the city, we all know. I mean, Airbnb has repeatedly sued cities for this and not done that, not complied. So I like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm eager to hear and watch, and we'll all learn together. Sarah, don't let me forget, though. I see a whole bunch of questions now all of a sudden. Russell J, as far as organizing everything within the operations of the short-term rental business model, are you using a spreadsheet? Good question. So, Russell, no, I was using a spreadsheet. I'm in the process of converting it. We're using a combination of Trello and Airtable. You're like, what? You never said that. I know. That's because we are still putting those things together because a spreadsheet just got too long. It just got too long in the columns for us was part of the challenge. So when it gets too long in the columns, it's time to look at other methods, possibly a database, etc., in order to make that happen. So yeah. Question in the group from earlier this week, my business. Yes, Haya, that's actually what I was referring to. So what you copied, Haya, is the question that I am planned on going over. So let me get the rest of these. Veronica, have you ever had to evict guests? If so, did they leave? How much did Airbnb play a part in getting them to leave? Have I ever? Yes. Had to evict guests. If so, did they leave? Yes. How much did Airbnb play a part in getting them to leave? I forced them to play a part by continually calling them, or someone on our staff continually calls them until they continue to, we bug them until they help us. Probably are the most, the quote unquote worst case. Now, and again, you got to understand, I think, so this year alone, I know we've served well over 12,000 guests. Okay. So I'm going to tell you about one. All right. Before you freak out. Oh my God, this is going to happen to me. 12,000 guests. Okay. What happened is that they tried to extend. So they were actually wanting to stay longer. All right. In the process, before we sent back an acceptance of their extension, another reservation happened. But in their mind, because they requested the extension, they thought, hey, cool, I'm good, which obviously isn't true. So here's the long and short of what happened. The long and short of what happened is that another guest has booked and is arriving now. We informed the existing person that, hey, you got to leave. We couldn't get in contact with them. So we ended up moving. We happened to have another unit available in the same building. So we ended up moving that existing guest to another unit. Yay. They're happy. But now we have but we still have the situation. We have a guest who does not have an active reservation staying in one of our units. So we have to get that fixed. So then we go through the process of trying to get that fixed, and we had to stay involved because, again, our calendar, according to Airbnb, was still blocked because the other guest was supposed to be in that unit. So once we got that switched, now it's available. But the problem is they don't have a valid reservation. They didn't want to pay another cleaning fee. And it's like, okay, if you don't, so here's what we had to do. I ended up sending our runner there to hang out with them until we got a valid reservation. And that's exactly what we did. The runner stayed in the room with them because we were not going to surrender. They didn't want to leave because they didn't have a place to go. We weren't going to let them stay until they got a confirmed reservation. That's really what happened. And then to compound all of that, the software or Airbnb system wouldn't process for them, and it just made it very challenging. Long story short, and hear me clearly when I say this, approximately 12 hours later, our runner gets to leave. We finally get through the situation. And yes, they get one extra day. They pay us via a resolution. And then the next day they leave. That's what happened. That's probably the longest, most excruciating, painful one that we have ever had. And I know that we've done somewhere in the neighborhood of over 20,000 guests. And that's by far the worst. So yeah, but you get good at helping your guests vacate. And if you're using the best practices and the systems and the tools, especially the security ones that we recommend, because I saw Crystal was able to get a guest to leave, and she was able to do it in much shorter period of time. And again, most of them are much shorter period of time. When you know, because that's the whole point of using our best practices and systems, is that you'll know when someone is violating the house rules, and you'll have a way to get rid of them quickly and be able to wash, rinse, and repeat. So we have a system for that. In fact, all of our systems, for those of you who may not have yet taken advantage of it, you can find them at cashflowdiary.com/star. It's a free presentation. Go learn how to grab your first short-term rental if you haven't already, because who knows, maybe, just maybe, this short-term rental thing's for you. Okay, so Ladero, this is a super easy one, I think. That means it's not an easy one. Do you know if Massey is separating out your payout per transaction type, income, cleaning fee, linen income, management fee? I would assume so. I haven't asked her for that detailed of an income statement. I tend to ask her more about the expense reports than I do the income reports, because the income part is usually really easy to see. It's the expenses where it gets a little confusing. Ladero, could you give a little bit more information? What kind of organizational purposes? I don't think I understand what you're asking me there. Janan, Robert brought up Airbnb's response to guests checking out after 11 a.m. a while ago. Do we need to add that we have a fine for this to our house rules, or is that already in Airbnb's policy? It's actually already in Airbnb's policy, which we discovered more or less on accident. But yeah, there's actually coverage inside the terms of service for all of us to be able to charge them a fee for getting them out of there if we need to, which I think is interesting. We've updated our policy house rules that we do charge an extra fee for late departure. Absolutely. Rebecca, we had your guest after, and she was fine, but that was because we were aware of her. She stayed 2 weeks. Yes, you did have that guest. I know you did. And I did call you. I put you on alert. I was glad. And they said they wanted to stay a long time, and that's great. They already stayed with us a week or two as well. And at that time, if I remember correctly, I was in Cincinnati when all of that was going down, and I was just not having it. But yeah. Marcy Harris, of course, Liddell. Yes, thank you, the Marcy, for being here and answering. So yeah, I rarely ask Marcy for a detailed spreadsheet of the income. I spend more time asking. I need more help on the expenses, because yes, that helps. That'll help you determine your pricing, or at least the bottoms that you can do, especially in low season. These things matter. So there. Marcy Polson, we need to talk again when you got time. Yeah, I hear you there, Daryl. I talk to Marcy. I try to talk to her at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. Just depends on how things are going. It just depends on how things are going. So yeah, there you go, Veronica. That you heard my absolute worst situation. And again, it ultimately comes down to they didn't really understand how to use the system, and it was very challenging. But once we got it handled, it was good. Hi, okay, so this is what I was trying to say earlier. This was let me see if I can bring that up on the other screen here. Wow, lots of comments. I like it. I'm going to bring this up on the screen so everybody can read it along, or at least I think I am. Maybe I'm not. I cannot. 1 second. I'm trying to figure out how to do it. Well, that's not good. Anyway, I guess I'll have to read it. So where did it go? And now it's gone. There it is. So it was from Ronald Uriel. I think I said his name correctly. I'm sorry if I didn't. Sorry, Ronald. Anyway, it says, my business partner and I had a falling out. Our profits were 30% as we gave each other a salary. He did the management. I did the operations. I also did the scouting for properties. Okay. He did the management. I did the operations. I need to understand the difference. We moved our agreement into a joint venture partnership agreement. His responsibilities are going to be the following: turnover, restocking, guest inquiries. He also lives on site. Okay. I guess he lives in the basement, $1,000 a month. My question now that we have arranged our duties and responsibilities, how do we work out compensation? He is not a contractor per se, as I trained him to follow processes. However, I want him to learn on his own and to be an owner. Mind you, he is living on the properties. Would that be fair? I am getting more properties and negotiating it. Also, all expenses come from your LLC. Please share some insight. Is anyone running their short-term rental as a sole business owner? Okay, lots here. One, I am not an attorney at all, under any stretch of the imagination. So, so no one can really yeah, here's what I will say. Most of us that I am aware of are using some sort of entity, whether it's an LLC, S corporation, etc., to operate the business. It sounds like you put up all the money and you're asking him to do the time. And I also must share with you that win-win does not necessarily mean equal. So I don't know. I mean, there's so many things that I don't like about what you've just shared with me. So inside the blueprint, for those of you, so for all of you, so yes, this is how I'm going to answer this question. Inside the blueprint, I think it's section 7. It's nothing but financing and deal structure. I would choose one of those. And if you can't make this transaction fit into one of those structures, then there is no structure that makes sense that I would go about. That's what I would do. Yes. Ta-da! Because I mean, there's so many questions. Because here's what's happening, Ronald. You're asking me to prescribe without a proper diagnosis. For example, I don't know what you put in. I don't know what he's put in terms of capitals. The money came somewhere. I'm assuming it all came from you. I don't really know. But it also sounds like you gave him the information or access to the information to learn how to run. So I'm like, what did he actually bring to the table? And if you're following our system, I'm going, this is only one unit. Why do you need him at all? Because if you're following our system, you really shouldn't need another person yet. It's one unit. I mean, like, what are you doing? So, I mean, they're just, so I'm at a loss for so many things because there are things that are the systems designed to remove such that one person can effectively run a portfolio of about 30 or so units. And I'm like, this is only one. And there's not enough meat on the bone for there to be equity shares in one unit. So I'm just like, I just got so many questions. That's why I'm directing you inside the blueprint. There's the financing section, and that's probably your best answer, because there's like, I go through, I think, 3 different deal structures, and each of those deal structures, I give you situations and understanding of when to use them and why, which obviously is much longer than the time we have for today. So hopefully that makes sense. Saeed, how are you? How's New Jersey treating you? I'm sure 65. Oh, actually it's 62 degrees now. So 62 degrees. So hopefully you guys, are warm on the inside. I'm just saying it's still cold out here for us. Maybe it would help if you went through the different deal structures. It would help. That is why I'm saying go to the 3 different, go inside the blueprint, because inside the blueprint, you'll be able to find the answers to the 3 different deal structures that will be able to answer the questions in detail and give you the situations under which they make the most sense. So Marcy, it looks like you're getting lots of text messages from people who need bookkeeping help. So this is good. I like it. All right. I'm scrolling, looking for other questions. 1 second. Nope. Okay, so Susan has a question. Hold on 1 second. Let me go see if I can't read Susan's question. She says, South Lake Tahoe shot themselves in the foot with Measure T that they just passed this election. Okay. Trying to figure out how to take advantage of this, except it's mostly vacation rentals and not the groups of folks I'm looking to serve. I'm not familiar with Measure T, so you'd have to bring me up to speed, but I'm assuming it's something that says you can only do it if you're a vacationer. That's what I'm assuming, or that's what I'm inferring based upon what you've said. So if that's the case, and that's not who you're looking to serve, the simple answer is you're going to be doing it somewhere else. That's the simple answer. That's how I see it. I don't know how else to see it in that regard. So anyway, looking for more questions before we end, or are we done? Nope, we're not done. Janan, this might be super broad, but What would be some options for funding beachfront property to convert it to? I don't think I understand. What is the funding for? Is this for furnishings? Are you trying to buy the property? Yeah. And again, the options don't change just because it's beachfront. It just means there's more commas and zeros involved. So keep that in mind. Do we have any training that goes into using Slack and Trello? I've played around with both, but not sure how to use it with a team. We have brought on a new person who is building the step-by-step on how to use both of those with our best practices. So stay tuned. Those of you who have the mastermind product, I'm trying to get this right before I make people mad. Those of you who have the mastermind product, that's going to be automatically upgraded and included. So it's coming. Janan, should we start by playing with Turnover B&B or wait until you say more about it? Nope, go ahead and start playing with it. It seems to be relatively straightforward, or at least it has been for a lot of people so far. Robert found something unique that they forgot today, and he was in communication with their engineers. So they're in the process of fixing that. By the time you guys discover it, it won't. So I'm not telling you what it is because it won't matter. Because by the time you discover, you probably won't. By the time you could have discovered it, it'll probably already be fixed. So we've been putting them through their paces to make sure that it all works. And so far so good. Hey Anthony, how are you? Why did you choose Turnover B&B over Properly? Very simply, the last time I looked at Properly, they were still very complicated in their setup. Now, I'm not saying they're bad, but I didn't have a great experience. Turnover B&B was very simple in terms of getting it to work with multiple platforms, regardless of where you're actually marketing your properties on as well. Plus, being able to add additional one-time cleanings and special projects was also a good advantage. And it was relatively easy not only to add your cleaning team, but if your cleaning team is actually a shared cleaning team, it's really easy for them on the other side as well. Plus, it made their finding additional cleaners, should you need them, also was fast. They seem to have a larger marketplace. While their UI leaves a lot to desire, especially relative to Properly, we were able to find cleaners faster and more competitive pricing, I guess is the best way of putting it. Plus, having a free level is kind of cool. So a free level that's useful. Free level that's useful. So hopefully that answers some of the questions that you just asked there. But I get it. Hey, Anthony, how are you? What's the mastermind product? Anthony, I'm going to let Dave kind of handle that. I'm sure most of you guys know, right now we have 3 phases to this business. You've got, getting started, which we call phase 1, just getting one unit, understanding how this works. Phase 2 is actually building the business. It's where the majority of people are, right? And then there's phase 3 where you realize, hey, I'm putting off all this extra cash. With this extra cash, I now get to choose on how to do investments and all these other things, whether that be more real estate, franchises, businesses. I think Rebecca's looking for a laundromat. So if some of you know of a laundromat that's available, let Rebecca know because they would love to buy a laundromat. That type of stuff. So those things are out there. Janan says to buy. Yeah, so there are the options for buying a property hasn't changed. So I want to be really clear about that. So for those of you who are into that phase 3 idea, buying a property hasn't changed. So for those, and I didn't answer the mastermind question. The mastermind is basically phase 2 of the business. Right now, those of you who have the mastermind product, you're getting phase 2 and phase 3. We are in the process of splitting that up so that you'll either be phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. It'll be easier for us, easier for you. And that'll be how we go going forward. But for those who have the mastermind product at the moment, you get all three phases. And inside there, Anthony, is what we're talking about. The answer to Janon's question is when it comes to how do I find and buy and control properties using either none of my own credit, or whether it's an apartment building, a commercial building, a cell phone tower, none of that matters. It's relatively straightforward, I guess, is the best way of putting it. None of that matters. So it's all there for you so that you can go out there and buy property, whether it's beachfront or not. I don't really care. Daniel, how to deal with neighbors smoking marijuana all the time. Smell it quite often. Welcome to the club, my friend. The first question is it legal in your state? And I'm suggesting, and I'm guessing by your question, you're like, yep, it is. What do I do? I'm also making an assumption that you are in an apartment community. So I would bring that up with the apartment community because I've seen all kinds of different things in the leases recently regarding this. So you need to find out what their stance is and ask them to enforce it. They probably have something in the lease. Now, where you're going to really have a challenge is if they have the medical card, you're going to have a challenge. And I don't know what the resolution is going to look like, but you could have a challenge there. Russell can help you out with a coin operated. It helped acquire. Oh, got it. So Rebecca, looks like Russell can help you find a coin operated laundromat. Woohoo! There you go. Anthony, do you have preference over the type of real estate the short-term rental is in? For example, own multi-units or leased units? I don't like houses, and I always want them to be in apartment buildings. That's what I think I'm answering your question. And you use turnover B&B with the cleaners you already have, right? Yes, I do. Ladero, Jay, when are we going to be able to do a deep dive into pricing, especially for Airbnb, where they are constantly pushing the lowest price per night and doing some more research in our market during the low season? It seems that that individual who are not professional are lowering their prices consistently, which is seeming to hurt our booking rates. Ladero, I have, it's funny. This is exactly, yeah. When? That's a good question. It's a good question. Would have to be on a Saturday. And it would have to be one of those, well, yeah, it would have to, I'm just trying to think the resources it takes to pull that together. Yeah, it would have to be a special thing on Saturday. We'd probably end up having to charge for that in some way, shape, or form, but we might be able to give a special members price or something. I don't know, man. I know what you need though. I know where you're coming from. I'm with you 100% because I've been looking at that, going through it, growing through it myself as well. So yeah. Oh, that also reminds me. Those of you who signed up with Lodgify, if you haven't given your information to Della, please make sure that she has your email address that you used with on the Lodgify special, etc. Because I believe we're working to have our orientation next week. Della will be in contact with you so that you know when and where and how to attend the orientation next week. This is the questions you get for staying on after time. That's right. It is after time. Just tell which Saturday and how much. Yeah, no, I totally understand. I got to talk with Dave and we got to figure that out. I'm with you, Ladero, 100%. I'm with you. Daniel, the smoking marijuana neighbors question, it's a townhouse with regular HOA, not a lease management enforcement. That's really problematic. Okay, this is another reason why I don't like condos. Now you got to bring it. You're going to have to find out what your HOA has to say. Because I don't know what you're going to do. I'm just being transparent right now. This whole smoking and marijuana thing has been throwing us for a loop all year. Between ozone machines and smoke order spray and smoke treatments and trying to figure out how to get the unit to go back to its original state, because I've had a guest where they literally come directly from the hospital with the prescription. I'm just like, what do I do? It's very challenging to deal with is all I'm trying to say. And I'm with you, so I understand. But I haven't had to deal with it in an HOA situation. So, which is because you have an enforcement challenge. And my answer would be to go to the HOA. But also, please stop using properties that are that are condos or in an HOA, because that's unless you are on the board of the HOA, then knock yourself out. You got a easier way to make that stuff happen. Anyway, hopefully, let me see. Hey Kevin, how are you? I see you. What did I do to my wrist? Nothing. These are thumb holes. My wrist is fine. I really like my favorite type of clothing have thumb holes in it. They're just so great. Anyway, so that's kind of what that is. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is the plural version. Gentlemen's. You don't say that. Anyway, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I hope that you were able to glean and get something from this, because that's the goal, is to make sure that you stay in business, making forward progress, trying to figure out what it is that you can do, how to do it, how to make the right things happen, so that your business can continue to grow at the end of the day, because that's exactly what I get excited about. I get excited when I know that you guys are out there doing the things that are going to help your business grow, and that we've been even a very, very small part of it. So, if you haven't already, or you're watching the replay on YouTube, feel free to come join us at cashflowdiary.com/mastery. That'll be fun. And if you haven't participated inside or seen the presentation that teaches you the basics of how to get started when it comes to the short-term rental game, please go over to cashflowdiary.com/star as well. With that being said, it's been fun talking to you guys today. I do look forward to talking to you again soon. Until next time.
Jay Massey is a full-time real estate investor. He's an entrepreneur.
He also teaches people how to find deals, raise capital for real estate investments.
Meeting Jay Massey in person, you'd think he's just a regular guy. He's got jeans and a t-shirt on and a pair of sneakers. But he's built up a multi-million-dollar empire.
I hope you do have an empty notebook, because it's going home filled.
Jay gives back so much value that I've never seen.
Now, at this moment, when I'm looking at the kitchen, things are going through my head.
You want to be friends with him, and he treats you like you're the only person in the room, even though it's for the benefit of everybody.
This is how, when you ask yourself, how does Jay do it? This is how.
He tells people that they have to take action, and they have to take action now. I took the action, and the results have paid off.
What happens when the marketplace understands who we are and how we go out there?